the stone rolled away, and we found the stone rolled away from the tomb. Luke chapter 24, verse 2. It's significant, my sisters and brothers, that in the resurrection narratives, the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, have something to say about the stone that was placed at the tomb. And once again, I'd like to add my appreciation to those persons who work so diligently all the time to prepare the chapel for worship and to make sure that everything is so appropriate. So we have the tomb over there, and we can see how the stone was removed from the entrance of the tomb, in keeping with what the four gospel writers mention in the resurrection narratives. Matthew provides the greatest details, telling us that there was an earthquake, a shaking, as the children reminded us in their song. And the angel of the Lord came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. Mark tells us that the women on their way to the tomb were concerned about the stone and said among themselves, "Who will roll away the stone from the entrance of the tomb?" When they looked, they saw that the stone was rolled away, for it was very great. So we learn from Mark that it was a great stone. It was a huge stone placed at the entrance of the tomb. In the Gospel according to John, when Mary Magdalene came to the tomb, she saw that the stone had been rolled away. Luke says in our text today, and they found the stone rolled away from the tomb, and they entered in and found not the body of Jesus. On this resurrection day, as we celebrate how God raised Jesus from the dead, our theme is the stone rolled away. Now, friends, as a pastor, I have been present at many burials and have stood by watching individuals fill in the dirt on a grave that was dug in the ground after the casket was lowered. I don't know how much you have that practice here, but on occasions, instead of men using shovels to fill in the grave, I have seen backhoes being operated in the cemetery, filling in the grave in order to speed up the process. I've seen the tops of concrete vaults, or tombs if you prefer, that are built in the ground where the casket is lowered, poured with concrete and steel. And on some occasions, I've witnessed burials taking place in those vaults above the ground, where the entrance would be sealed and plastered and painted later on. I imagine that at the burial of Jesus, when the stone was put in place at the tomb's entrance, that signaled the end of the burial, and those who witnessed the crucifixion and later burial of Jesus slowly left the burial site the place where the body was entombed. Very early on the day after the Sabbath, we are told that some of Jesus' friends, some of them who knew Jesus, came to the tomb and they saw something that must have caused them great consternation. Something that must have been very upsetting and troubling to them. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb. Now for us who know the story and all that transpired, we look at it in retrospect. So we have a better view of things, a better understanding of things. But for those early disciples and friends of Jesus, this must have been very, very upsetting to them. So as we gather on this resurrection day, let us think for a few moments about that stone that was placed at the entrance of the tomb, which the women who came to the tomb found rolled away or removed. I want you to remember, my friends, first of all, that the stone was an obstacle in the way. It was meant to be a barrier so that the one inside couldn't get out, but that he would be contained, locked away, imprisoned in that tomb. The stone blocked the entrance. It was an impediment, a hindrance, an obstruction. Now, if you have some time, you can read through the Gospels, the different accounts of what happened on the day of the resurrection. In the Gospel according to Matthew, it is recorded that special care was taken to secure the tomb until the third day, so that the disciples of Jesus could not go and steal the body, take him away, and begin to tell the people that he has been raised from the dead. In fact, some people have concocted some theories about the resurrection. And one of those theories, that is to disprove the resurrection, to say that the resurrection was a hoax. And one of those stories is that the disciples of Jesus came and stole his body and began this rumor that he was risen. Matthew addresses that in his account of the resurrection, because we are told that special effort was made to secure the tomb. We are told that they went with the guard and made the tomb secure by sealing the stone. You can read that in Matthew chapter 27, 62 to 66. So, the purpose of the stone was to create a restriction. No wonder, according to the gospel writer Mark, the women were so concerned as they were coming to the tomb. And they were saying among themselves, who will roll the stone from the entrance of the tomb? That stone was a great obstacle in the way. And as I was reflecting on it, my sisters and brothers, it struck me, it occurred to me that there are all kinds of stones that we meet along the way. As we go through life, there are all kinds of stones that come in our way. And I came across a poem by Tom Baird, and I quote that poem now. A stone I surely am, but of what kind? Ah, Let this thought most deeply grip the mind. For there are stones and stones which, as you can see, do neither in their size nor shape agree. Am I a living stone or am I dead? Have I been blasted from dark nature's bed, or do I still within my rock home lie, unreached by God's great power, dead and to die? If saved, a stepping stone I may become to raise a brother from some sinful slum, and watch him rise to heights of moral worth and claim an honored place through grace on earth. Or I may be a heartless, stumbling stone, o'er which my fellow falls and breaks a bone, and have him crippled for the rest of life, unfit to stand erect amid the strife. Or, awful thought, I may be a millstone, and drown my brother deep in sin's dark sea. Then watch the bubbles rise, which indicate how absolutely helpless was his fate. Or I may be a grindstone, hard and round, upon whose wheels some fellow may be ground. A lord of sweated labor, what wreck should fellow beings near me sink and die? Yea, I may even be a rolling stone, and to a life of wandering be prone. But all such stones are useless as a whole. They simply oscillate from pole to pole. Not only are we stones, but stones we cast. The stone of judgment at a brother or sister's past. Ye who are sinless, only you alone possess the right to cast the judgment stone. And who among us is sinless? Who among us can dare cast a stone of judgment against another brother or sister? Yes, my friends, there are all kinds of stones that we meet along the way. And as we reflect today, fear and doubt are like stones that prevent progress and locks up potential. Anger, hatred, and the ability to forgive are stones that prevent growth and health in relationships. Sin is like a stone of disobedience that keeps us from entering into the light and love, the joy and peace, the liberty and freedom that God gives. But as we gather today, my friends, the good news, the wonderful news, is that the stone was rolled away. And all these stones that serve as obstructions, as obstacles, as hindrances, can be rolled away because God raised Jesus from the dead. Behold, my friends, the stone is rolled away. For the women who went to the tomb early on the first day of the week, following the crucifixion and burial of Jesus, to behold the stone removed was at first unsettling to them, caused them some despair. But as they came to grips with what had occurred, their hope was revived, their spirit soared as they realized the great power of God at work in the world. So the message of the stone rolled away can give us hope and encouragement today. Since it reminds us that all those things that stand as obstacles to our faith, obstacles in the way of our progress in life, obstacles to our relationships, those things that obstruct our path, those things that act as hindrances to our progress. The good news, the Easter message, is that they can be removed. In Christ, they can be swallowed up in victory. So the message of the resurrection is that there is no stone, no matter how large, no matter how well sealed, that can restrict the power of God through Jesus Christ. Christ, my friends, is free. And he has won freedom for us. That is the Easter message. That should make us rejoice. To know that Christ is free indeed. He tore the bars away. He escaped death and the grave. And he lives forever. Today we can come into his presence as we come to the table, and in our minds, in our hearts, we can behold his presence and know the power of his resurrection that will keep us, that will help us as we face life's struggles and challenges, as we face life's hurdles. We will be able to overcome every obstacle and find a way out of the problems we face in our daily living. Hallelujah, my friends. Hallelujah. The stone is removed. Now, let us go and experience the freedom and the victory that is ours in Christ Jesus. God bless you. God empower you, and God set you free to live for God each day. Amen.